The movie begins with Mason, a former Special Forces soldier who is now a lawyer. He is looking at an old photograph of his time in the military, but is reminded of a failed mission, where his comrades died and he barely survived, in a failed attempt to assassinate Juan Venegas, the dictator of the South American country of Palonia.
Purpose was gone. More like a failure.
Because of this trauma, he left the military, and now focuses on his career as a legal advisor and on his family.
Bye, Daddy!
One morning, after dropping his daughter off at school, Mason's past comes back to him when his former military leader Sebastian comes to his office. Sebastian offers a lucrative opportunity to escort a journalist, Claire, on a mission to interview the ruthless president of Palonia. Although she is reluctant to return to a life of violence, Sebastian's persuasive tactics, including a generous salary, and appealing to Mason's skills, sway her to consider the offer. As she grapples with the decision, she must confront her inner demons, and weigh the risks against the potential rewards of this dangerous mission.
Venegas is sending a plane to DC tomorrow to pick you guys up.
The next day, he heads to his daughter's school to pick her up, only to be greeted by a surprise: his wife, Rebecca, who was called by the school due to an incident involving their daughter. It turns out their daughter used a rock to defend herself against a classmate who had been bothering her, causing the classmate to be hospitalized. Shockingly, their daughter admits she got the idea from Mason, who had jokingly suggested using a blunt object to deter bullies. Rebecca is deeply upset by this revelation, feeling that his misguided advice has led to serious consequences for their family. Not only are they responsible for the medical bills of the injured child, and a fine by the school, but she also reveals the strain of their financial situation. Mason, as a part-time lawyer, hasn't been contributing financially for months, leaving her to handle the burden alone. Consumed by guilt and desperate to make amends, he proposes accepting Sebastian's mission as a solution to their financial woes. He explains the mission offers a substantial sum of money. Initially hesitant, Rebecca grapples with the idea of him risking his life on another dangerous mission. However, faced with limited options and the pressing need for money, she reluctantly gives him permission.
Okay?
Maybe that's what you need.
Shortly after deciding to accept Sebastian's mission, Mason contacts him and expresses his readiness to depart immediately. Sebastian in turn arranges for Mason to meet the journalist, Claire, whom he will be escorting. Mason wastes no time in informing Claire of their purpose, to interview President Juan Venegas in Palonia.
For Palonia, you know anything about it?
All the loveliest places. I was in the Middle East.
It's a new one.
With their mission clear, both embark on their journey. However, Mason remains cautious, wary of potential dangers lurking in Palonia.
President Venegas.
Oh my God.
Thank you.
Vámonos! Vamos.
Upon their arrival and a seemingly innocuous welcome reception, his suspicions are validated as they come under attack by a mysterious military group. Swiftly, he defends himself and Claire, successfully repelling the assailants. In the aftermath, he confronts Venegas, initially suspecting him of orchestrating the attack. However, Venegas vehemently denies involvement, revealing he himself has been targeted by these unknown forces for months. He explains that the interview with Claire is his attempt to garner international attention and support against these threats.
What?
Despite Venegas's explanation, Mason remains skeptical and decides to prioritize Claire's safety. He contacts Sebastian, requesting a rescue helicopter due to the escalating danger. Sebastian swiftly promises to dispatch assistance within 20 minutes upon receiving their location.
Too much for a milk run.
Well, for example, because I can have you work, but I need to make a call.
As they navigate the treacherous situation, tensions rise and suspicions mount, leading them into a web of intrigue and danger, in their quest for safety and the truth behind the attacks in Palonia. "20 minutes later, as they eagerly anticipate the arrival of the rescue helicopter, they spot a chopper approaching, only to realize it belongs to the enemy group still hot on their heels. Reacting swiftly, Mason seizes Claire's hand, and they sprint into the dense forest, igniting a frantic pursuit and a harrowing shootout. Amidst the chaos, he seizes every opportunity to retaliate, aiming to bring down the relentless pursuers. With precise aim, he manages to down the enemy helicopter, but their victory is short-lived as two remaining enemy troops close in, trapping them. In a surprising turn, President Venegas emerges from the shadows, swiftly neutralizing the attackers. Mason's suspicion begins to wane as he realizes Venegas is not allied with the hostile military group.
Juanita?
Point taken.
Joining forces with Venegas, they decide to trust him in their bid for survival. As they navigate through perilous terrain, Venegas extends an invitation to his hometown, where they can seek refuge and regroup. The quaint village, steeped in warmth and hospitality, offers them solace amidst the turmoil. Even the village chief, a childhood friend of Venegas, extends his gratitude, solidifying Mason's trust in their newfound ally. Eager to wash themselves, they head for a bath. However, they discover a shortage of towels, forcing them to forego the luxury and continue their journey, fueled by determination and camaraderie. Later, as the villagers gather to witness Claire's interview with President Venegas, anticipation fills the air. Armed with Mason's mobile phone, Claire dives into the interrogation, probing Venegas about the accusations of cruelty leveled against him by the outside world. In response, he vehemently denies the allegations, attributing them to malicious propaganda aimed at tarnishing his reputation. He emphasizes the unwavering support he receives from the villagers, citing their love and loyalty as evidence of his benevolent leadership. He sheds light on the geopolitical intrigue surrounding Palonia's rich resource, a newly discovered precious metal here, coveted by major world powers. He reveals these powers seek to exploit Palonia's vulnerability to gain control of the valuable material, casting him as a villain in their quest for dominance. Determined to safeguard his nation's sovereignty, Venegas pledges to defend against external threats, eliciting cheers from the villagers. Moved by this impassioned defense, even Mason finds himself swayed by the president's conviction. The interview serves as a turning point, fostering a newfound trust and admiration for Venegas among the unlikely allies. As night descends upon the village, the group opts to extend their stay, seeking refuge from the dangers lurking beyond its boundaries. Claire and Mason find themselves sharing a room. In a moment of vulnerability, Claire makes a bold advance toward Mason, drawn to his rugged charm. However, mindful of his obligations and the family awaiting his return, he respectfully declines, wrestling with the conflicting desires tugging at his heartstrings. The next day, Mason confronts President Venegas about the origin of the relentless attacks plaguing him. Venegas suggests that he should seek answers from the one who initiated their mission. Without delay, Mason reaches out to Sebastian, the architect of their assignment. In their conversation, Sebastian unveils the calculated strategy behind selecting Mason as Claire's protector, emphasizing his unique ability to navigate the perilous landscape they face. He admits to foreseeing the onslaught of attacks and entrusting Mason with Claire's safety. Pressing further, Mason inquires about the orchestrators behind the onslaught on Venegas's regime. Sebastian unveils a chilling reality: the attacks are orchestrated by the major world powers within the African Union, colluding with Venegas's ambitious nephew, Jorge, the vice president. Their objective is to destabilize Palonia's government by ousting Venegas from power.
Kill Venegas?
Security contracting.
You really gonna try to convince me by coincidence it's a coup with a bunch of South I can't figure out is why you needed me down here.
Here, put a bullet in Venegas.
In a moment of clarity, Mason comprehends Venegas's innocence and resolves to shield him from the external forces. However, their respite is short-lived as a threat emerges in the form of a group of mercenaries led by Mike, dispatched by the African Union to apprehend Venegas. With the village chief held captive, Venegas sacrifices his freedom to ensure the safety of his people. Moved by the selflessness, Mason and Claire swiftly intervene, mounting a daring rescue mission on horseback. Amidst the chaos of pursuit, Claire falls into enemy hands, leaving Mason and Venegas to navigate the treacherous terrain in a desperate bid for escape.
It won't hurt her.
How much further?
As they flee deeper into the forest, Venegas shares a haunting tale from the past, recounting an incident where an American Special Forces helicopter was downed by African Union mercenaries, a stark reminder of the ruthless power play unfolding around them. As he recounts the harrowing tale, Mason experiences a profound revelation: the attackers, initially thought to be Venegas's cohorts, are in fact African Union mercenaries, a truth that fills him with remorse for misjudging Venegas as a villain in his previous failed mission.
Believe that when one encounter
How much further?
Venegas offers to exchange himself for Claire, who bears no connection to the conflict between their nations, and guides Mason to the sanctuary of his friend Smith's house, seeking aid in arranging the perilous exchange. With Smith's unwavering support, Venegas orchestrates a daring rescue plan. The next day, amidst the chaos of Mike's hostage situation, Smith leads the villagers in a courageous protest, diverting attention and creating an opportunity for Venegas to liberate Claire from captivity. Embracing their newfound freedom, Venegas invites Mason to join them on a journey to the presidential palace, where he intends to broadcast the truth to the world. Meanwhile, back in the palace, Venegas's nefarious nephew, Jorge, revels in his assumption of Venegas's demise, unaware of his uncle's triumphant return. As Venegas, Claire, and Mason confront the treacherous commander and Jorge, chaos erupts in a deadly shootout. In a dramatic turn of events, Venegas emerges victorious, supported by video evidence corroborating his innocence. Amidst the turmoil, Mike and his mercenaries launch a ferocious assault on the palace, sparking a fierce battle between opposing forces. In the midst of the fray, Mason finds himself in a predicament, but Claire's timely intervention and Mason's decisive actions, captured live on Claire's phone, turned the tide of the battle. With reinforcements from Sebastian and his troops, the Palonian forces emerged triumphant, vanquishing Mike's mercenaries and securing peace for their nation.
Ground coverage of the shocking event, an intense gun battle with members of surprising reversal in the
Days later, the truth about President Venegas's innocence resonates across international airwaves, dispelling the false accusations that once tarnished his name. Claire regains fame for her footage in Palonia. Returning home, Mason is greeted with open arms by Rebecca, who shares his pride and relief. News of the generous mission payment brings further joy, plus he is gifted $5 million by Venegas, alleviating their financial worries, and reaffirming the value of his bravery and sacrifice.